Hello, and welcome to the Open Virtual Film Project. In this video, I'm going to be showing you the OVFP post-process volume. To access the tool, open the OVFP menu either through the drop-down Virtual Production menu or the Toolbar button, and click on the Post-Process Settings button. To use this tool, we need an OVFP post-process volume inside of your scene. Either way of creating one requires you to spawn one out into the scene. So first, you want to make sure you're in the correct lighting sublevel. In this case, Chase Hall Dark. And you have two options for adding one to your scene. You can either convert an existing post-process volume using this drop-down and the Convert button, or if you have neither a post-process volume or an OVFP post-process volume in your scene, you can click the Spawn New button. Since I have a post-process volume in my scene, I'm going to use the Convert button. You'll see in the world outliner it has created this BP OVFP post-process volume. And now I have a drop-down for selecting which post-process volume that I want to use. When I have a post-process volume selected, I can change around the exposure mode between Unitless, which is Unreal's default, and Real World, which uses aperture shutter speed and ISO, along with exposure compensation to detail out a scene. So I'm going to use the Real World values, set my exposure compensation value to 0, and bump my ISO. The next section requires two post-process volumes in your scene. If we start with post-process volume 2, it is set to affect the entire scene and at a priority of 1. This is the general look of my scene, and then if I wanted something like a section of my scene that is darker or an underwater look to take effect, I would create a second post-process volume, turn off affect entire scene, and change its priority to a higher value. In this case, 1 is higher than 2. So now when I enter that second post-process volume, it switches the look from my brighter outer look to my darker inner look. In the next section, I get some options for different viewport modes. These are post-process effects. So if I start stepping through them, I can set my scene to only render base color, ambient occlusion with outlines. There's a bunch of settings for changing around the ambient occlusion with outline settings. Color IID, which requires me to click this Setup Color by ID object to create this clown pass. A grayscale view with the saturation on a slider. Line drawing view. A scene depth view to get a fog effect. And a standard view with outlines around every single object. With any of the line and ambient occlusion versions, I can change how wide my lines are, how much ambient occlusion is in the scene, and various other parameters to dial in the look of this view. These viewport modes are useful during reviews if you need to show a space without the color getting in the way or the texture getting in the way. They are also useful for rendering out screenshots for use in Photoshop, similar to how the storyboard tool works. The last section of the tool includes a location for an additional post-process material. Say if you wanted to create an underwater effect, you could put your post-process material here, as well as all of the other post-process settings available in a standard post-process volume, with the ability to search for what you are looking for. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching.